Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Spring Championships for the round of 32. This is, of course, game number 1 in a best of 5 series between Aizamk and Ramex. And here we have Aizamk in the south of the map in the color red, playing as indeed the Chinese. Starting with the free wood crates, going to be pretty happy about that. Absolutely, China quite like that, since of course you want to build lots of villages to make use of that northern refugee shipment that you do have. Indeed, you get 1 villager for each town centre and village that you have. Obviously, the village being the Chinese house that supports double population and costs twice as much. Absolute. And you can garrison it as well, I suppose. Absolutely. We all know this. But yes, this game was casted by Boneng. In fact, the entire series was casted by Boneng. And they were casted, well, I can tell you when they weren't casted. I can't really tell you when they were casted. I'm not even sure when he casted them. But they weren't casted on the weekend, because if they were, then they would have been covered by me and H2O. In the, of course, Sunday or weekend sort of coverage that we do where we stream all day and all of that. But yes, Boneng did cast these, and I am actually going to upload his commentary. But Twitch decided to delete the audio from his first game. So obviously I'm going to have to redo it because there is that. But yeah, kind of good, kind of glad that I'm happy that I'm happy that I get to cover Aizamk's game. He's certainly one of my favorite players because he is rather unorthodox. Yes, building a trading post there and sending 300 wood. Okay, because 300 wood, absolutely, because that sending northern refugees would just be far too standard for Aizamk. Absolutely, and that's something. To be fair, 300 wood is okay, I suppose. It's essentially like a 1.5 villager shipment, and you get lots of extra population because you've already got the houses down, and no doubt he'll need that population at some point there. And I'll be sending, the reason it's a 1.5 village shipment, picking up the 80 food, not too bad. That's it's going to mitigate his age up speed because, of course, still gathering wood. Holy balls, he's going to age up late, especially without the extra villagers that he's going to get as well. But yes, 300 wood. The reason that's an extra, obviously, you're going to turn these into villages at some point. Oh, and he's got the goats on them as well. I forgot you can do that. The village as well. Really cool building that. But yes, Boneng. Pretty happy I get to cast this. Aizamk, one of my favorite players. But I really don't want to cover games that have already been casted because there are still games to be casted from this series, and H2O and I are going to split them between us. But obviously this one I kind of have an excuse to cover because it was muted. But yes, I'll upload this, and in the following video we'll have, of course, that three villages going down. Okay, very good, Aizamk. You are going to age so slowly. Let's switch over to Ramex to see what he's. Oh my good, has 800 food in inventory already. Yep, and there it is. The age up in queue, and Aizamk has 100 food, and he's still making villages, and okay, you're gonna age up late. That's pretty risky. I mean, if Ramex walks through his base right now and sees 3 villages on the floor, and Ramex could just go, "Yup, I'm gonna rush," and even though traditionally, obviously, Dutch are not very good at rushing. You could do that if you see 3 villages, I suppose. But Aizamk with the cow hacks is going to get away with it most likely. Of course, nobody ever expects that kind of thing out of well, I guess if you're planning at Aizamk, you probably should start to expect the unexpected. This is such a weird commentary so far. But yes, anyway, this video will go up, and then obviously Boneng's commentary for the rest of them, and then I'm going to cover. I think there's just 2 games, I don't know. Anyway, one of the series I'm going to cover, I've been told, is exceptionally good. So I'll get that one out, and there is all on that. But yes, what is Dutch up to? Here we have, I never actually introduced, I forgot to introduce the Dutch player. Oh, well, here we have Ramex in the north of the map in the colour green playing as the Dutch, as you've all kind of worked out because we have looked at him. But we don't want to forget formalities, I suppose. Anyway, what's he up to? He is aging up with, of course, 400 wood. Then he's going to use that to lay down. Well, you can see here he's currently collecting wood and food, and has almost the magic 350 of each, which will be a bank. And this wood here, 400 wood, that's essentially another bank. Or you could do something else with that wood. But essentially, it's you can basically compare that to a bank, and that's essentially what Dutch likes to do. We'll see what his first shipment is, and then we'll obviously got plenty of time before Aizamk gets up. Can be very, very, very chilled here. 700 wood on the way. Okay, so that's essentially two banks worth of wood, right? So there is that. But at the moment, Ramex probably just expecting traditional China, which we'll talk about in a moment. Picking himself up 40 XP, not too bad. So here, Yeah, he's going to lay down a stable and probably 2 houses, of course, out of that wood that he just aged up with. Get some cavalry out and do some raiding, and then, of course, 700 wood on the way. He'll build 2 banks out of that, and he'll have 3 banks, and we'll see what he does. Maybe he'll go for a 4th one before he ages up, because it slows you down a bit. But, yes, China, you have time to do this. You probably have time to get your 4th bank, because China does indeed, switching back to Aizamk, have a lot of, well, they like to go up to the next stage. They have a lot of shipments. They have a lot of military shipments, and not just military shipments. Like this one is particularly good. It sends you a lot of very strong units. They're just really efficient shipments, and also this thing chucks out flying crows. It just shits them out, and then you also, like, as China, have that Confucius Academy. No, sorry, the Summer Palace, which trains banner armies. China just comes up with units out of nowhere. You may have heard in my commentary before, of course. They have a large anal cavity, put it that way. They like to pull the units out of their bottom, so to speak. But, yes, basically from China, you're going to expect a fast fortress. They're just going to send 700 coin as their first shipment, and they'll collect nothing but food during transition, which, of course, he's doing now. Has actually started collecting up those goats, which he's been fattening. Had more than that to begin with. And, of course, we'll just race up to the net. It has 300 coin there and 700 coin, yeah, basically. But going to be a little bit delayed, I think. Of course, he went with the 3 villagers, but that does just make his fortress age much, much more powerful, since, of course, basically an extra villager is going to be gathering for, essentially, just 7 minutes or something like that. I don't know. Here, coming in for a villager kill. Can he get it there? That one walking around. Oh, it does get garrison, though, there. I thought for a moment it wouldn't get garrison, but calling out, of course, the sentries here to repel him with the 7 damage times 4, of course, against cavalry. Does manage, if he can kill one, it'd certainly be worth it, but doesn't actually manage to. Of course, he wanted to protect those Chocanu, which he aged up with, since, of course, those things would get wrecked by cavalry. And also, he wants to continue, of course, gathering resources. Those 3 cav would idle him on the 700 coin, and he, maybe his food production still doesn't have all of that, of course, to get up to the next stage. So, doesn't want that to happen. Definitely wants to get all of that up, so he called his sentries. I can see that, though traditionally you might not want to. You might just want to put the villager being attacked in, or the villagers in the area that are being attacked, so that you don't have to spend resources on this. But there is all of that. 700 wood now on the way. Going to use that to lay down, of course, military production facilities. And even more population slots, of course, for the villages. But there it is. The Summer Palace absolutely has got that down. Here comes, of course, the 3 hussars going to come in. Maybe they could get a villager kill. Of course, that can get garrisoned in there. Does it get... Oh, that was close. I didn't think it was going to happen. But it almost did. Absolutely. Ramex being a bit cheeky. Let's switch over to him and see what he's up to. 600 wood on the way, but can he get any more villager kills? Doesn't look like it. Of course, the sentry's going to come over now and, of course, force these back. But actually going to engage anyway. He knows these are low health. Perhaps he can kill them off. Not necessarily sure. Obviously, he's going to lose all the cav there, I would imagine, or just keep that one. But that's, if he kept them alive, certainly he could do some raiding, come back a bit later on, and that would be like some next level pro move. But getting the sentries there, not too bad. But Ramex, 600 wood on the floor. There it is, of course. Let's take a look at his shipments here. He sent 3 vills, as we know, followed by 700 wood, as we know. Then a bank wagon, of course, and that's where he got his 4th bank from. Did choose to go for that 4th bank in the end, and now sending 600 wood. Of course, Dutch really like being in the Fortress Age. They get access to, of course, some nice units there. They get their skirmisher upgrade for free, since they, well, train skirmishers. Can get those in Colonial, get the upgrade for free, and have access to Reuters, and have access to all those military shipments. Of course, if you stay Colonial, all you have is pikemen, skirmishers, and cavalry, which is not hugely great. Obviously, Reuters and Dragoons certainly very strong. But yes, they have this Fortress Age agenda, but their Fortress Age agenda is more based off the back of an economy, if you can see, invested quite heavily in 4 banks there. Going to be having a very nice economy indeed, and that's basically the strength of the Dutch. Having a powerful fortress economy, and their shipments, yeah, they do have shipments, but they don't come out nearly as frequently as, say, Spain and Ottoman, and indeed China, especially if China starts with, of course, a trading post, which is something Aiz has chosen to do. There it is. But, yes, he is now up. Aizamk here does have the food on the floor, just going to absolutely throw out the units. Of course, that is his age up bonus. Going to use that to get lots of units out. Intervention on the way, and this is just why China has such a strong Fortress Age. The age up there, you can train a whole bunch of units. Intervention is such a strong unit. Like, you get, where are they? Like, if you ally yourself with the British at the consulate, you get, well, Oh yeah, he's not even out. He's not allied yet. I see. Yeah, he said he's already sent that, so he's not going to get that shipment until he allies. I thought maybe it functioned in a way that you didn't receive the shipment unless you were allied to someone. But yeah, the musketeers. Surely they arrive. Where are they? Oh, they're up here. I see. Oh my goodness, he's actually got 4 villages. He didn't have 3 villages. That would make sense because he sent 300 wood. I was kind of wondering where that last one was. He built it up here as a forward spawn point. Of course, they act as that's another thing they do. But might be able to catch these Reuters. He's not going to be too happy about that. Ramex, you don't want to lose those, especially against China. They have so many units going to be coming at you, and of course your economy is quite slow. These aren't military units. You have to. You're going to be sort of defending and catching up. You have to stabilize. And here, this shipment's so strong. They're redcoat musketeers. You get 9 of them. And it's not, like, they're not quite guard musketeers, but they're better than veterans, sort of somewhere in between. And you get 9 of them. A traditional unit shipment is not that good. And of course, when you hit up, basically that first flying crow comes out, and and then not far behind it, you get, of course, the Summer Palace. Forbidden Army, 8 pop. That thing is worth just a lot of resources, put it that way. But coming in to get that flying crow, trying to snipe it down. The musketeers not in position. Really nice job by Ramex there to get a free volley off on that. Of course, did take a little bit of damage, but definitely worth it. Of course, these muskets weren't where they needed to be to punish those Reuters for getting a free volley. Of course, if he comes back in like he's going to do now, these musketeers are going to turn around and... No, he actually managed to... Perhaps gets away with it again. Of course, if the musketeers were a little bit further forward, they could do damage to these, but then you don't really want that, since, of course, the skirmishers would be doing a lot of damage to Aizamk. So sort of... I don't think it was necessarily wrong to have the musketeers not on the front, since they take damage from these. Gonna continue to push in though here. Of course, lacking the cavalry. Of course, he did just send his 5 disciplined meteor hammers, and these things are very strong. 30% range resist, of course, 34 hand attack. Gonna come in, gonna do good damage versus these skirmishers here. That's what he needs, more cavalry. Continuing to push, has to be careful here. These units on this side, since the villagers are gonna sponge, and he doesn't want that to happen. And the Minutemen have pulled out, so maybe you retreat here. I think actually, obviously these, it'll be no point retreating them now. They take a lot of damage from the Reuters on the way out. So gonna stay in here with the, of course, disciples that have 120 hit points, and that he's been training from his, of course, monk, and with the cavalry, they're going to stay in here until they're all dead, and then I imagine he'll get out with these units here. Though, actually, having said that, these churned out, doing a good job of, well, everything. I thought they had area damage on them for a second, but I know that they don't, so there. But, yep, obviously, gonna neutralize the Dutch before they can get far too many units out. And I think partly the reason he's not, I don't know, he just spent 1,000 coin on hiring these. Hiring Ming Iron troops. Certainly very strong, but that's 1,000 coin less units on the battlefield he's sort of going to have for the time being. But has an absolutely insane economy. 36 villages. And still has units in here. This fight's still going on. That monk sponges up. He's got 1,000 hit points. That thing is absolutely insane. So whilst, like, they're all targeting these units in the back, he's going to have to try and focus them down deliberately, because if you leave your units to it, this guy, 2008 years old, as you can see, just going to sponge up all that damage. And ultimately, yes, it now looks like, oh yeah, Dutch looking really strong. Look at that. Dutch has now just stabilized. He's got his 4 banks down, and just repelled. Like, he's the one who spends all these resources on banks, and because of that is behind compared to a civilization that ships tons of military units at you. Looks like Dutch is stabilized, but nope. Let's switch over to Aizamk, of course. Almost has that second flying crow, almost has this banner army, and has more shipments on the way that just get spammed out so quickly because you get so much XP during a fight, and of course you haven't spent anything in the colonial aside from these two, whereas Dutch spends so much more. And here, Ming Iron troops, I mean, they're essentially mercenaries, right? They're so good, like 16 damage in hand combat, ranged attack 25, those things. Of course, direct counters to light infantry, such as the veteran Reuter there. Plenty of units coming out, and this is the 13-minute mark. That's where China's super strong as well, because you get your next shipment. Was it like your third military? Sorry, your fourth Fortress Age shipment, plus the Flying Crow, plus the Banner Army here. There it is. Come on. Plus all of the stuff that you've already trained, and he has 39 villages. Like, obviously, he killed a few of his opponents. He killed some of Ramex's villages, only 27 there. As we saw in that fight. 4 banks, though, does count for about 4 villages each. He's not that far behind as we may have thought, but like China, or especially Aizamk's China here, with the extra villages in that early portion of the game, and of course, Aizamk, no doubt, consistent villager production. Of course, you can train villagers whilst you're aging as well. That all certainly helps, of course, where Dutch cannot do that. And here we have another fight here. The Flying Crow coming out. That thing is insane. 300 hit points, 75% ranged resist, 228 damage with an area 4. Doesn't have the same multipliers as a Falconet, but you get it for free. 600 resource, 7 pop. Yeah, he just can't get close. Like, he has to find a way of getting these Reuters in a position to kill the Flying Crow. Otherwise, they'll just do a lot of damage to the skirmishes, and it'll be tough to take a fight. But I think we see another unit shipment coming out of Aizamk. Of course, we see Disciplined Iron Flails. 22 hand attack with a 1.5 times damage multiplier versus the skirmishers here. And that does not look too good. He does not have very many Reuters. And he's still dealing with this cannon, and he has, I don't know, he needs more Reuters there, otherwise it's going to be rather interesting for him, so to speak. Oh no, 7 skirms on the way, of course, sent both the Reuter shipments, has finished with those. Disciplined Iron Flails, walking around on the map, looking for villages, perhaps. Absolutely. Coming in with more Meteor Hammers this side, certainly going to try and maybe raid this hunt. Maybe catch some skirmishers on the way or something like that. We do have a fight though, and he has engaged. Looks like we're going for a skirmisher sandwich with cavalry on either side. The Reuters out of position, coming back now. And like if they were here, oh no, they could have done some more damage to the cavalry, and then more of them would be dead, and therefore more skirmishers would be alive, and maybe it would have deterred him from going in here. But just I don't know, like these things have 400 hit points with a 30% range resist. There's so many of them. All the skirmishers going down, and now all the infantry, well, the musketeers in the back are completely safe. Not that there are many of them anyway. Flying Crow completely okay, not just able to chuck out 228 damage when it wants to. Oh dear, Ramex. Not going too well. I'm going to take a look at the villager population there. I'm just surprised Ace has so many. I'm not even sure where he got them from. Yeah, he obviously got quite a lot here from that shipment. And just boosts up. And then maintained regular settler production here. Stopped for a little bit. Well, obviously, you stopped during transition, whereas on both Colonial and Fortress Age, China doesn't. And then obviously lost a few, and I don't think his villager production was quite as consistent as you can see here. But certainly an interesting game. China Fast Fortress for you. There it is. Absolutely. And a very interesting one indeed. Aizamk starting with the 300 wood. Not something you'd normally do. But thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all again next time.